What's going on, fellas? So in today's video, I'm gonna thoroughly explain to you today why chosen men and women, shout out to all the ladies today, but chosen men and women are often misunderstood. All right, something I want to clear up, guys. One thing I've been seeing a lot is the word chosen. All right, chosen ones to be specific. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out and the reason why I'm going to specify what I mean by being chosen is because the word chosen, chosen has become a buzzword. All right, fellas. So what I mean by chosen, I mean real. All right, fellas. What I mean by chosen is I mean you know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, that doesn't leave you out from being chosen. If you don't know who you are, that means you are dead serious, hell bent on finding out who you are. All right, fellas. Now, when you're chosen, real, you're going to stand out. And people are going to call you a word. And that word is weird. All right, fellas. Now, I'm going to explain to you why chosen actually means real. And why people call you weird, they're actually trying to say in lamer terms that you're chosen. All right, fellas. So, I need you guys to take notes and pay attention. All right, fellas, let's get right into it. Now, before we get right into it, I want to give you a couple examples of people who have been called the word weird. All right, fellas, I'll give you an example. There is a man named Noah. All right, fellas, if all you people who read your Bible on Wednesdays, you probably know who Noah is. And Noah had a mission, a purpose, all right? A purpose sent to him from his creator. And that purpose was to build a boat. All right, fellas. I want to say an ark because that's what it was, but some of you guys don't know what the fuck an ark is. So it was a boat. Gee, you know what a boat is, right? He had to build a boat. And what this boat was supposed to do is carry a bunch of animals. I don't know where the hell they was going. I don't think Noah knew where they was going, G. But he was supposed to carry him, his family, and a bunch of animals to somewhere. The reason why it was a boat is because it was going to rain. It was going to thunderstorm, all right, G? And the reason why it was going to rain and thunderstorm, because everybody else other than Noah was degenerate, all right? Now, fast forward in the story, Noah's building his ark, all right? He like halfway done. He going hard, G. He's scrambling, cutting down trees, going crazy, building his ark, G. Now, in the midst of his purpose, in the midst of doing what he needs to do, because why? He was chosen, just like a lot of you guys watching this video. You're on your own path. You're doing something most people ain't doing. And then when these people found out what Noah was doing, he was building a boat on dry land. Gee, it probably ain't rained for like 36 years, all right? So they couldn't fathom why he was building a damn boat, all right? So they was laughing at him. They was clowning him. They was calling him weird, all right? But whole time Noah knew he was chosen. Now, this is why I said chosen means real. Because despite what people said about him, despite all the criticism, despite all the name calling, despite all the doubt, despite all the ridicule, despite all the isolation, despite all of that, in the midst of what a lot of you guys would call darkness because you don't know how to be alone, but in the midst of that, he stayed real. He didn't bend. He didn't break. He didn't care about being called weird. All right, fellas, I'll give you another example. Elon Musk. I'm pretty sure in middle school, everybody thought that motherfucker was weird, all right? Ain't no way you gonna get to the point where you trying to get people to the moon and your ass ain't gonna be weird for most of your life, all right? So I'm sure he got teased. I'm sure he got roasted. I'm sure Elon Musk was walking around with a computer in his hand like this, trying to do mathematical equations to get to the moon, all right, fellas? So you gotta understand, what he didn't do is he didn't bend or break. I'm sure Elon Musk said, fuck all you weirdos. Y'all weird. Y'all ain't got no purpose. Y'all, I'm chosen. Gee, people don't need to understand you for you to be real. The masses don't need to agree with you for you to be real. What considers you to be real, like I said, is you either knowing who you are or you're hell-bent on finding out who you are. Gee, when you're hell-bent on finding out who you are, you don't care about any debris in the process. All right, fellas? Any criticism in the process. I'll give you another example. Y'all know that little emo kid in high school that used to sit by himself that was misunderstood or weird? Shit, I bet he wasn't weird when he stood up in the middle of the class and just grabbed his backpack and just walked out and everybody got scared. I bet he wasn't weird. Gee, I was cool with that weird kid. Why? Because I knew at any moment shit will pop off. All right, a lot of y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys were that kid. All right, he was misunderstood. Gee, they didn't understand the fact that if you kept fucking with him, shit was going down. All right, very misunderstood. I'll give you one more example before I get into my point. All right, I use myself as an example so you know I ain't talking shit. All right, I am very misunderstood. When people meet me, they manufacture all these type of projections. They try to box me in an identity, all right? People have tried to box me in so many identities, fellas, all right? But guess what? It ain't even about what they call me. It's about what I accept, all right? It's about what I believe about myself. You can call me weird all you want. And this is the thing. A lot of people use the word chosen as some exclusive group, like it's only for certain type of people. Gee, how narcissistic is that? How narcissistic is it for you to say, I'm chosen, but you not? That don't even make sense. Gee, you proving the fact you're not chosen. Gee, if you was real, gee, chosen means real. So anybody can be chosen. You can be chosen when you choose, like I said, to either know who you are or be hell-bent, dead serious on finding out who you are. But the reason why most people ain't chosen, because most people don't have the courage to be real. See what I mean? Now, this leads me to my first point. Most people, I keep dropping this damn eraser. Most people who are considered weird, all right, fellas, are usually ahead of the curve. All right, y'all ever watched the movie Batman, The Dark Knight? And the Joker was in his little monologue. Heath Ledger, he was in his little monologue and he was like, he said, you see, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve. All right, fellas. And what that meant was, you see me as a monster now. You see me as weird now. I'm speaking for a lot of you guys, all right? You see me as a monster now. I just know shit. I just see shit that you don't see. That's why I don't accept shit that you accept. So when you are different, chosen, real, and you don't conform to normal bullshit, most people are going to call you weird. All right, fellas, when you the only one walking around in broad daylight without a mask on your damn face, because you know a mask ain't going to protect the common cold, you sound weird. You look weird to weird people. All right, fellas? So most times, I've experienced, all right? The people I've met that most people call weird are usually intelligent ass people. Are usually people who know shit that most people don't even know that they don't know. All right, fellas? So if people call you, gee, if you're really weird, you know, like you're awkward and shit, and people calling you weird, gee, you just weird, all right, fellas? That's why I put weird down here and I separated it from, because sometimes you're just weird. But if people calling you weird because you're real, because you don't agree with the same shit they agree with, or you don't do the same shit they do, or you're not entertained, or you're not fucking turned on, or fucking aroused by the same shit they are, gee, that don't mean you weird, that means you. And especially if you're unapologetic about it, now that means you real. All right, fellas? Then that puts you in the category of being chosen. Now, guys, let me give you a lesson on human nature, all right? And this is a lesson on emotions as well. So this will help you understand yourself, all right? People usually fear, all right, guys? What is fear? You being afraid of something, all right? You seeing something and not understanding it to the point to where it scares you, all right? If you see a dog, and even if a dog is big, you know what the dog is capable of. So you might be scared, but you ain't going to be scared to the point to where your ass just in terror. All right, you might run wild because you don't want to get bit, but you understand that dog. All right, you understand it's a dog. But if you walking down the street and you see a damn dinosaur, of course, you're going to be scared as fuck. Why? Because you don't understand why the fuck a dinosaur is walking down the goddamn street. All right, so understand, people fear what they don't understand. When you are different, when people can't put you in a box, they fear you, so they call you weird. Most of the time, when people reject you, some of the times it's out of intimidation. All right, fellas, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to sit in a room with somebody that it takes me forever to fuck to figure out. I'm going to be honest with you. All right, I'm going to keep it real with you because at some point, I'm going to be like, look, we got to talk, all right? Especially if you ain't saying shit. I'm like, all right, let's talk. Let me get to know you a little bit because your ass is too mysterious, all right? So this is the thing. The same thing that makes you happy will make you sad. It's a law of polarity. All right, fellas? Everything is neutral. So what I'm saying is, being mysterious, all right, being magnetic, that turns people on. That arouses people. How do you become magnetic? How do you become mysterious? You have to be different. You have to be authentic. But in that same breath, that also scares people. Why? Because they can't control you. Right? They can't control you. And that's another thing about being called weird. When a motherfucker can't control you, when a motherfucker can't get you to agree with the fuck they want you to agree with, they gonna call you weird. Why? Because the masses, most people, agree with shit that they hear, shit that they see, and anything. You know how easy it is for you to post something on Instagram and make it go viral off some bullshit? All right? You can say Michael Jackson came back alive. And just post an AI picture of Michael Jackson and everybody will believe that shit. Not everybody, but I want to say about 60% of people will at least entertain the idea. All right, fellas, this goes to show you that most people blindly follow. But when you don't blindly follow, when you stay real and tapped in, you're fucking weird. Jesus was weird. All right, they call my boy Jesus weird, fellas. All right, they call Albert Einstein weird, guys. Pay attention. So stop getting so offended when people call you weird. If you awkward, we got to talk about that because social skills is important. But if you just being you and people don't understand you, so they call you weird, that's their problem. Motherfuckers see me, I dress like a monk from the hood. They get mad at me and call me weird. That's your problem. You mad at me because I don't want to wear J's. That ain't my fault. You wear J's. I ain't weird because I don't want to do what you do. All right, fellas? So understand. If they call you weird, accept it, embrace it. It's good. It's a good thing. I like weird people. Why? Because weird people ain't fake. Weird people stand on business. So I want you to understand, the word weird, that's a label. All right, fellas? That's a label. And people put labels, like I said, on things that they don't understand. I will give you an example. I saw a woman walking in the mall about 3 months ago. All right, fellas. She had on like some tactical pants, like some army pants, some tactical pants, some tactical boots, like a gray t-shirt, a tight gray t-shirt, and she had a cap on, right? A black cap on. And when people saw her in the mall, other women were looking at her crazy. She looked like a Mortal Kombat character, all right, fellas? And when other women saw her in the mall, they were like looking at her up and down at her. I bet, I can only guess, most women thought she was gay or she was some type of lesbian or some shit like that, right, fellas? You know how they got Starbucks in the mall? I go over to Starbucks because y'all know I like coffee. I'm sitting there sipping my coffee, and she come over there and I talked to her. I was like, hey, real quick, I ain't gonna lie, you look like you'll whoop somebody's ass. When she started talking, she was feminine as shit, my boy, all right? And I was talking to her, I was like, hey, real quick, that don't match. That don't make sense. She told me she just went through some tactical training with her boyfriend. He dropped her off at the mall. She about to go buy some clothes, get some coffee. They gonna go back and they going out on a date. I was like, so you don't dress like that all day? She was like, nah, I don't dress like this. She showed me on Instagram, she feminine as fuck. She a little girly girl. So I'm like, whole time, they put labels on this bitch. Whole time, from what I saw in her regular mode, she looked 10 times better than every bitch in that mall that was judging her, all right? She just looked a little dusty because she just came from playing some dirt. All right, fellas. So that's just a little small human interaction example of why people will put labels on shit that they don't fucking understand. So I'll give you another example. On my last video, I had a necklace, a beaded necklace, all right, guys? And it had a stone on it, a tiger's eye stone. Because I like stones, I like stones. They bring me like ancient memory and shit, I just like the essence of it, all right? I feel like my ancestors wore stones and beads and shit, right? So I had a guy, and I'm going to call him out. Shout out to you, I had a guy on my last video, and he was like, hey, bro, I don't know if that's what you wearing on your neck, but if that's a crystal, bro, you done went too far. Basically saying I done went too spiritual. I'm like, see, first of all, you assume, all right? So you done made an ass out of you, Then second of all, how you just gonna assume I'm doing rituals in my bedroom with my legs crossing, my head spinning just because I got a stone on, all right, fellas? So like I said, a motherfucker will project labels on shit that they don't understand. And this is the problem with most people that sets real from not. I ain't gonna even call you fake. I'm just saying chosen from not. A real person would try to understand if they don't understand. And if they don't want to understand, they leave it alone, all right? But most people when they don't understand something, they got to put a label on it. Why? The only reason why, because most people are so stuck in their ego that they got to put a label on something so they can feel like they're normal. All right, fellas, G, check this out. The problem with that is when you put a label on something and call it weird just to feel normal, you blend in with everybody else. And guess what? Like I said, most people, everybody else are normal. But guess what? Most people, everybody else are not chosen. And most people, everybody else are not real. So I rather you assume that I'm walking around touching people's foreheads and they falling out in the middle of the mall. I rather that. I rather you put a label on it. Why? I don't give a shit. That's the point. That's the point when you real. You just don't care. Now, you may think I care because I called it out. No, I'm just giving you guys context so you can understand. Gee, I want you to embrace people calling you weird. Gee, if you dress a certain way, if you walk a certain way, if you talk a certain way, I need you to improve yourself because God don't want you to be average. But at the same time, whatever man or woman standing next to you does not dictate how you treat yourself, how you move in this world. You only get one life. Why would you wait till you get on your deathbed to look up at the fucking little light they got in the hospital and say, damn, I wish I would have just moved with my own motion and stopped letting people influence how I move. Damn, now I'm about to die with all this regret. You don't want that, fellas. That's one of the biggest regrets a lot of people have. First, one of them is not treating people right in their life. Then the second one is not living their life to the fullest and caring about what the fuck people think. Gee, I guarantee you, if you in your 20s right now, if you break free of not caring what people think about you, gee, your life will be awesome. All right? I'll tell you this from experience, bro. I spent the first 10 years of my adult life giving a fuck what people think, all right? It was a slow transition to get better. Now I just don't care. It ain't being a tyrant. It ain't walking around indifferent like fuck you. No, it's like I love you, but I don't care what you think. All right, fellas, I do everything out of love with genuineness. But at the end of the day, if somebody does not agree with how I live my life, if somebody does not agree with how you live your life, that is their problem. All right, fellas, because the whole time while you trying to conform, all right, fellas, and change how you move based on what somebody thinks, they going on living how they want to live. All right, fellas. So like I said, you don't want to waste your only existence here on this planet. After you die, you're going to ascend to another dimension. So it's okay. I'm just saying why you here. All right, why you here. Focus on you. Don't worry about them. All right, fellas. Now, let me show y'all something, all right, guys? I want you to understand that weird equals freedom. A lot of people are in something that I like to call identity bondage. Y'all heard I say that? Identity. Identity bondage. All right, a lot of you guys are in identity bondage. You are in captivity. You're in a cage, all right? And this cage is barred with what people think about you, social norms, what you think you are, what you're trying to be for somebody else or your ego is barred with all these convictions, all these limiting beliefs, all these false identities. All right, fellas, some of you guys are in bondage. There are a few of you guys, a few chosen ones, a few real ones. You're free. And why are you free? You may be lonely. You may be, because that's the result of being real sometimes, in most cases, all right, depending on where you're at. If you're around some real ones, then you're cool. But if you're around a bunch of fake people or a bunch of people who not being themselves, then it's going to be a little bit of lonely for a bit till you get around some real ones. But you're free, all right, fellas? You're free. You're free to be who you are. You're free to not have this mask. You ain't got that cage, all right? You ain't perfect. Nobody is, G. All right, Jesus wasn't perfect, G. If Jesus was perfect, he would have knocked everybody out that was talking shit. I'm gonna be honest with you. To keep it real with you, Jesus had flaws. Jesus had to hold back, and he knew it. Jesus was like, bitch, if it wasn't for the Lord, all right, fellas. So understand, but you're free. You're not in bondage, all right, fellas. You're not caged by what people think about you, fellas. That is the darkest cell to be in, fellas. All right, that's worse than isolation. All right, that's worse than solitary confinement, to be trapped by other people's opinions. All right, guys, am I telling you to be a rebel? No, I am not telling you to be a rebel. I'm not telling you to walk around as if your shit don't stink, because most times it do. I am telling you to be unapologetic when you make mistakes. I'm telling you to forgive yourself. G, that's what I'm telling you to do, basically, all right? I'm telling you to love your damn self. I'm telling you to stop loving that girl's opinion of you over yours. I'm telling you to stop valuing your homeboy Dante's opinion over yours, all right? I'm not telling you not to get counsel, nor I'm not telling you that constructive criticism doesn't exist. I am telling you that God made you good enough, all right, G? He wants you to get better, but you're good enough, all right? You don't have to conform just to agree, or you don't even have to agree. All right, guys, so listen to me. Am I telling you to walk around again? Because I got to say this again for the guys in the back, because you guys hear one fucking quote and y'all jump off the deep end. Okay, D told me to just be who the fuck I want to be. No, I did not, sir. Sit the fuck down. What I am saying is you're going to get to a point in your life, all right, where you're going to stop reacting to what everybody says or does. This goes with emotional control. Fear, which is an emotion. The fear of being alone. The fear of being isolated. The fear of standing out. Every great man you know. I use Moses for an example. The little weird kid in class for an example. I use Jesus for an example. I use Albert Einstein. So many great examples of men who were isolated. Why? Because they were considered weird. All right, fellas. So understand, weird is the new real. Understand that, all right, guys? So, I appreciate you for tuning in today. Share this video with a homeboy that this will help out. All right? All you weird-ass homeboys, send this to them so they can feel better. It's your boy. It's your boy, KD. We out here, baby.